Okay, in this demonstration, what I want to do is I want to create some VLANs and demonstrate exactly how easy it is to be able to do this. Now, I need to create the VLANs everywhere in my infrastructure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the VLANs, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a single VLAN. We're going to put everything. So each of these hosts that I'm going to be using and each of these switches need to know about the VLANs in order to be able to send traffic for those VLANs. So all I'm going to do is type VLAN 100. I'll go ahead and give it a name, and I'm going to say call it the demo VLAN, and then I'll type exit. Now, once that's done, I want to make certain that that actually is applied to every device in the infrastructure that is a switch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say show CLI history unformatted, and that should give me a listing of unformatted, two T's, and I should be able to simply copy this out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to this switch and say paste. That creates the VLAN. Go to this switch, paste. That creates this VLAN, and go to this switch and paste. That creates the VLAN there. So I just created the VLAN on all four of these devices. But interestingly enough, if I go down to 3 and 4, these two switches right here, and I type show VLAN brief, what we're going to find is those VLANs, I've got a lot of interfaces here, so let's see. We'll notice that every interface that I have, and just for clarity's sake, I'm going to drag this down and make it bigger. Actually, I'll drag it over and temporarily block the configs. This makes it a little bit more readable. I'm on 9K3, so just so that we can see what it is I'm talking about, I'm going to drag it over a little bit. But we can see here, every interface that I have configured on this device belongs to VLAN 1 by default. And I created the demo VLAN, and none of those interfaces belong to the demo VLAN. Now what I want to do is I want to take traffic that's being sent from this host via Ethernet 1/6, and I want to assign that to VLAN 100. Now the way that I do that is I go to the interface E16, the IP address or the interface that's on 9K3, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say switch port mode. Actually, we'll just say switch port first, make sure it's in switch port. Then I'll say switch port mode access, and I'm going to say switch port access VLAN 100. Those three commands in concert with no shut are going to enable this interface to be able to take any frame that comes from host 6 and assign it to VLAN 100. And it should have also moved Ethernet 1/6 over to this VLAN. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say show VLAN brief one more time. And when we go down, you're going to see the interface Ethernet 1/6 has now been assigned to VLAN 100. I'm going to do the exact same thing on 4. So let's just make sure that it's the right interface. So it's going to be Ethernet 1/6 also. So I'll say interface E16. I'll say switch port, which ensures that it's a layer 2 interface. If I wanted to make it a layer 3 interface, I'd say no switch port. And I'm going to say switch port mode access. And I'm going to say switch port access VLAN, and I'm going to assign it VLAN 100, and then I will say no shut. As a result of this, if I come over here and say show interface, let's do this. Let's say show VLAN ID 100, so that I can see the configurations here, and I'm looking just now at VLAN 100 instead of looking at all the VLANs. This allows me to bore in, and we can see it has the name, it is active, and it says that Ethernet 1/6 is a part of this VLAN. So now these devices should be able to allow these hosts to be able to communicate with each other, except the problem is that VLAN 100 has not been configured, because remember I said that devices or interfaces that connect switches together need to be configured as trunks. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about trunks for a little bit, because trunks can carry traffic for all VLANs. Access ports carry traffic for specific VLANs. Another show command that I could use would be show interface E16 switch port, and hit enter, and it's going to tell me everything that I need to know about this interface. Ethernet 1.6 is in a layer 2 operating mode because it says its switch port is enabled. If I go down and take a look at it, it tells me that it is access mode is going to be VLAN 100, and the name of that VLAN is demo VLAN. We see the basic configuration, even though this is not a trunk, it says all VLANs 1 through 4094 would be allowed if it was a trunk, but it's not. Its operational mode is access. Now, if I were to look at any one of these other interfaces, so if I look at Ethernet 1.4, so if I say show interface E14, that's this interface right here that goes up towards the switch, and I say switch port, and I look at the output here, what we're going to see here is notice that it is in an access mode also. But by default, the VLAN that is going to be running in or on this interface is going to be VLAN 1, which is the default VLAN. Should it be allowed to operate as a trunk, it will support VLANs 1 through 4094. So with this, let's wrap up this portion of the demonstration, and then what we'll do is we'll move on and we'll start taking a look at trunks after we discuss those particular constructs.